You are watching Bloomberg Tech Europe. Coming up, the future of music is here, and AI is at the centre of it. Whether it's artificial artists or remixed records, AI is expected to have pretty far-reaching effects on music making. But is AI a threat to the established music model, or should it be seen simply as another tool for creatives? Grammy winner Will.I.Am reveals how he sees artificial intelligence reshaping the industry.
It's not doom and gloom for the music industry. I'm more worried about my accountant than I am my drummer. I'm more worried about my lawyer than I am the singers that sing with us.
So we will be joined by music heavyweights as we zero in on the challenges, the opportunities as well lying ahead for an industry facing arguably its biggest test since the onset of streaming. Welcome to Bloomberg Tech Europe. From streaming apps then to recording in studios, artificial intelligence. It's not just remixing the music industry, it is rewriting the entire score.
How was I supposed to know what love looked like when my first man left before I learned to fight?
Could you tell that wasn't created by a human? The track was generated by Zania Monet, an AI artist who made history as the first AI-generated musician to chart on the US Billboard rankings. If you couldn't tell, you're not alone. French music streaming service Deezer found that nearly all listeners cannot distinguish AI-generated songs from those made by humans. A new wave of AI music companies is leading the charge. Platforms like Suno, Udio, Loudly and Musico let anyone create fully produced songs in minutes. No instruments, vocalists or studio time required. The global market for AI-generated music is booming. Research firm Grand View predicts growth from $440 million in 2023 to nearly $2.8 billion by 2030. But not everyone is harmonizing with the trend. Artists warn that AI could flood platforms with synthetic songs, drown out human creators, and mimic famous voices without permission. That concern has fueled a growing campaign against AI music, including calls for clearer copyright laws and protections for artists' likeness and style. Still, the industry isn't just fighting, it's adapting. Major labels, including Warner Music Group, are partnering with AI companies like Suno to explore songwriting, production, and fan engagement tools. For now, AI music sits at the intersection of innovation and uncertainty. Whether it becomes a powerful collaborator or a disruptive rival, the industry is bracing for a future where humans and AI share the stage.
So, AI is a divisive topic then for the creative industries. Some musicians seeing it as existential. But for Will.I.Am, artificial intelligence is an opportunity, not a threat. The Grammy-winning singer, songwriter and producer first found fame, of course, in chart-topping hip-hop group Black Eyed Peas. He is also the founder and CEO of FYI.AI. It's an AI assistant specifically aimed at creatives.
Absolutely. You're being interviewed by Tom Mackenzie from Bloomberg, focusing on the dynamic intersection of AI and creativity. It's a deep dive into how innovative AI solutions can coexist with and enhance artistic expression, while also addressing broader industry implications like job displacement and data practices. You've been sharing insights about FYI's approach to harmoniously integrate AI with human creativity and discuss the pioneering work with ASU involving the Agentic Self course.
I spoke to Will.I.Am then about how he sees AI shaping the future of music.
It's a renaissance. The same way the Renaissance, catapulted, dimensionalized the creative industry in the past. The Renaissance, this new Renaissance would do it for this era that we're in. So it's the age of the hyper creative.
So there's a copyright law change that the UK government is thinking about making to ensure that the models and the AI companies here can innovate quickly and use copyrighted data more freely with less risk of legal response to that. And so the artists, including Damon Albarn and Annie Lennox, put out this silent album in February as a protest to say this is gonna be a problem.
Yeah. So the artists that are protesting have every right to, right? Because say, for example, Coca-Cola wants to license your music, or McDonald's, or Starbucks, or, you know, some politician running for office. They want to use your music for their campaign. You have to license that, and the artist has to sign off on that. So if artists' music are in some like overall catalog, and the artist didn't say yes, you could use it for however you need to use it, whether it's to play it, associate it, or train on it. The artist should do that. The thing the artist also has to know is we are at a point where they don't have to train on our music. Theory's theory. And the model's going to get so sophisticated that it's just going to train on theory. And because it can predict.
Yeah.
And songs can be broken down into predictions based on theory.
But licensing of copyrighted music is possibly a solution for these AI models that are training. And so far, a number of them are trained, the allegation is, a number of them are trained on copyrighted music without compensating those artists. And licensing could be the solution.
Licensing is a solution. But what is the value of those recordings and those copyrights? So that's the heavy one. We licensed our music to Spotify. They don't value it the way that it should. Then that brings upon another conundrum. Like, a song is worth how much? A stream? So you could license it, but let's hope that the folks that are, you know, divvying up its value and its worth love it and appreciate it and price it for what it actually costs, as far as time. But the model is getting better and better and better. It doesn't have to learn from the past to create.
Are there specific guardrails that you think about that should be implemented when it comes to protecting creatives in this time of momentous change as a result of AI?
Yeah. First off, the reason why we're having this situation and the conundrum that we're in is because the data practice overall. The data practice, not just for music, everything needs to be thought, and humans need to be protected. You came at it from like, hey, what about music? What about your job? How you interview. Bloomberg says, you know, we really like how you do that. We want an avatar agent to do do you own how you ask questions? So right now, the easy way to look at it is like you musicians and your songs. Like, yes, everybody. Everyone needs to be protected. The sellers, the storytellers, the lawyers, the finance people, human resources at the company, everyone. It's a human, like, urgent matter to where we need governance and regulations ASAP, not to stifle creativity, but just to make sure the business model, it's the business model that's the issue, not the tech, bro.
In 10 years' time, are we listening to more AI-created music than human-created music? How do you think about that?
You like fruit.
Yeah.
You go to the supermarket, do you say, hey, where's the organic oranges?
Sometimes.
But then you just buy oranges.
Yeah.
So if you're not buying organic oranges, then what the were those oranges that aren't organic?
Yeah.
And why would you have to call these organic and those just oranges?
Yeah.
If these are organic and that, what are those? Only reason I'm saying that is just processed to the point where you need to identify organic from non. The same will be for music. The same will be for everything.
It'll be on us, the consumer, to identify what is synthetic, what is AI-made music, and what is human-made. Or does it need to be labeled?
I'm trying to elevate this conversation to everything. I'm starting with oranges to organic oranges. to music to organic music, to interviews to organic interviews.
There's going to be a premium in terms of the human experience in this new AI world. Things like live experiences, live concerts, live sport. Is there going to be a premium for that kind of entertainment?
It's called lived experience. AI is not living. So when you go see yes, there's going to be lots of music. There's going to be AI bands. That's true. There's going to be like an AI freaking Bruce Springsteen. There'll be an AI Lana Del Rey. There'll be an AI freaking Adele. Yeah, and it's going to sound great. People like it. And you're going to go see it perform live. And the team that makes the live performance is going to be freaking, it's going to be dope. And then there's going to be human lived experience that you're still going to love. It's not doom and gloom for the music industry. I'm more worried about my accountant than I am my drummer. I'm more worried about my lawyer than I am the singers that sing with us. Because that's law, memory, and numbers. There's a $100 billion industry, if not more, launching freaking agents and co-pilots than there are the record industry launching AI artists. Get out of here, bro. Let's break it down to the real what's going on. So I'm more concerned about my assistant than my guitarist.
And you've worked clearly, you work in philanthropy, in music, in design, across all of those different sectors, as well as tech, of course. Of course, all those different sectors. Where do you expect to see the most disruption as a result of AI? Or is it across the board the same?
The creatives are going to be all right. Hey, we're going to be cool. They like this, they like this. They want the heart. And stop chasing the algorithm on TikTok. Like, rinse your soul out. People want that. We're going to be cool. But as cool as we are, we're going to be writing songs called Where Did the Humans Go? And then they're going to come to our concerts to hear that.
The one and only Will.I.Am, the founder and CEO of FYI.AI. Coming up, streaming then, currently the dominant model for the music industry, but will that last in the AI era? I'm going to discuss with Jessica Powell, co-founder and CEO of AudioShake, a firm whose AI software can separate and then reimagine existing audio recordings.
Again, I think one of the big challenges is how are 100% AI generated tracks treated on the streaming platform? That I think is the biggest challenge and something that really does pose a potential threat to artists.
Plus, we will be joined by Helienne Lindvall, songwriter and president of the European Composer and Songwriter Alliance. Can the industry survive and thrive as AI takes hold? That is next. This is Bloomberg. Welcome back to Bloomberg Tech Europe. So, artificial intelligence is being used across the music industry. We've established that. One company that is thriving is AudioShake. Its platforms use AI to split audio recordings into individual parts, separating music, voices, and effects. Its customers then can take those recordings that were once locked in their final form and reimagine, remix, and repurpose them. Jessica Powell, AudioShake's co-founder and CEO, says the threat is not from AI tools, but the mass rollout of music made solely by artificial intelligence.
The real controversy tends to be with generative AI, both in terms of how that music was trained, which tends to be it was scraped from the internet, but how it was trained, and then the fact that the outputs could potentially be regurgitating original lyrics or compositions, and two, are those tracks, those outputs, competing with the people who created the inputs, the human artists? So that's where it's a sort of different debate from what happens with a lot of the more day-to-day AI tools that are being used by the industry.
Are you comfortable with those AI music models, those generative AI models training on copyrighted material?
The part that I think is really interesting, and I think we're going to have to see how it plays out, is how AI-generated tracks exist in a marketplace, meaning streaming platforms, alongside human created works. And when I say human created works, that can also mean works that humans created with the assistance of AI, but where, let's say, humans are driving the majority of that track. I think the real threat around generative AI is not a producer who uses a generative music system and, generates a vocal when they've built this amazing track, or, adds this element, asks a generative music system, find me a beat, create a beat for me that does X or Y. Right? And then they're building and adding all this human creativity on top of it. I mean, that is the history of music technology, right? The people interact with tech, they build new and crazy things. I think all that is going to be fine. But again, what happens when you are able to use technology to generate music at scale and hit streaming platforms with a tremendous amount of music, and that music is competing for listeners? There's already a problem in the music industry today around streaming fraud. That was already a problem. It preceded generative AI, again, also enabled by technology. It's essentially fraudulent tracks that are just there so that bots can click on them and then collect revenue. So that, to me, is the most interesting question, which is, how do you take existing music industry problems, right, like streaming fraud, and the inability to always be able to detect remixes? All of those kinds of problems are all just amplified by the existence of generative AI. And so I think that's the really big challenge here.
So how, in the here and now and then into the future, Jessica, do you see these kind of tools, these kind of changes, these kind of innovations changing the music industry, the economics of the music industry, not just for artists, but also for the labels?
Again, I think one of the big challenges is how are 100% AI-generated tracks treated on the streaming platform? That, I think, is the biggest challenge, and something that really does pose a potential threat to artists. Already did, but now is amplified through technology, which in this case is generative AI. And so if you look at Taylor Swift, I think it's very hard to automate Taylor Swift, right? Because it's not just the music, it's also everything else she does and her interaction with fans and her tours and so forth. And so there will be AI artists, definitely, but I don't think human artists are going to completely disappear.
That was Jessica Powell, the CEO and co-founder of AudioShake. So the record industry is, of course, as we've been discussing, in the midst of a deal-making spree as well when it comes to AI. Major labels, including Universal, Warner and Sony, have either struck deals or settled with AI music companies in recent months. Many of these agreements will allow users to remake popular songs using artificial intelligence tools. That has drawn the attention of the European Composer and Songwriter Alliance. It says licensing is a good first step, but has called for greater transparency over the deals. I'm joined now by the group's president, Helienne Lindvall, an award-winning professional songwriter, musician and columnist. Helienne, thank you for taking the time to come in, and your role, of course, on that front and the lobbying role that you're taking. What do you make of these deals then? Is this not important in terms of trying to address some of the concerns of songwriters that the labels and some of these model and AI companies are now partnering?
Absolutely. I mean, licensing is the first step. Without licensing, there is no money flowing back to music creators. But transparency is so important, both on the AI company side, so we know what is being scraped and what is being used, but also when it comes to the labels, how are these deals, how's the money that is flowing in going to be distributed? Is it going to be distributed to composers and songwriters? Where's the transparency here in what is being used? Because in the end, it is about supporting the roots of the industry, which is the composer and songwriter.
Yeah, and we saw evidence recently of just how far this technology is evolving in terms of its partnership and how it's working with music for the upside and the downside, and we can talk about that. Universal, for example, partnering with NVIDIA, and they're saying that this is about music discoverability. I mean, and NVIDIA, given its role in terms of AI chips, how important, what do you make of a deal like that? Is that a move in the right direction, or does that cause you concern?
To be honest, we have no idea really what the deal entails. There was a lot of things about creativity as well. And obviously on the composer and songwriter side, we're looking at, well, if a music label owns the catalog, are they going to train on that catalog eventually themselves and push out those pesky music creators that come and complain about their money not flowing through.
What is the impact right now that you're seeing across the industry?
Well, there's a lot of fear, obviously. There's a lot of passion among songwriters and composers. We are seeing, obviously, on streaming services that there is a lot of AI. Deezer said last year that they have between 50 to 70,000 fully AI-generated tracks being uploaded every single day. Now,
are they being labeled? Do we know as consumers?
Not being labeled at all. Many times with Spotify, for example, I realize that I'm having fully AI-generated tracks recommended to me. And I only find out because maybe I look at the name and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard about this artist before. And I try to Google and I realize that actually it's not a real artist. And I think that's really, really important. As a music fan, as a consumer, Will.I.Am said earlier, do you want to have organic food or do you want to have processed food? But in a much more, do you want to have a human creator behind it? I think it makes a difference to a lot of music.
And one of the points from Will.I.Am is this has to be targeted at the business model. The regulation has to be targeted and focused on the business model rather than stifling innovation. And his concern is clearly that innovation could be stifled. The EU AI Act, is that the right way? The tools there in Europe to protect songwriters?
Well, the AI Act in Europe is very toothless. It's very insufficient when it comes to copyright. They have the code of practice, for example, is voluntary. So you don't have to sign up to it. And even if you do sign up, it's a very weak copyright commitment with that. And the transparency in the AI Act is very high level, very general. So it's impossible for us to see if our works have been used or not. We are looking at it and saying, and a lot of EU member states are looking at the situation and say, well, let's face it, we can presume that copyrighted works have been used because there's been hundreds of millions of works that have been scraped across the internet.
There's been a lot of buying of music assets in recent years by private equity firms and companies like Hypnosis, buying the rights to names like Bob Dylan, for example, Neil Young, amongst others. Do those assets become more or less valuable?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? I think this is where they're in the same boat as us. If they need to support copyright and support music creators, songwriters and composers. I think a lot of the time the songwriters and the composers get lost in this discussion because, oops, sorry.
That's okay.
Because we are invisible to a certain extent. And a lot of people think, oh, well, a piece of music is created by one person. Okay. And there are people that are actually behind these songs.
Really important insights. Thank you very much indeed. Helienne Lindvall, President of the European Composer and Songwriter Alliance. And on the next episode of Bloomberg Tech Europe, we're going to dive into the world of quantum computing. Can it supercharge the AI boom, or is it all bluster? We're going to speak to the company's leading efforts to master the cutting-edge technology. Catch that episode on February the 13th here on Bloomberg TV. That's it for Bloomberg Tech Europe. The Pulse is up next. This is Bloomberg.